What if I told you a 7-month-old baby vanished without a trace, and the only person who could explain what happened, his own father, gave a chilling confession that solved nothing? This is a disturbing reality of the Emmanuel Haro case. From the very start, investigators noticed something was wrong. When police entered the Haro home after Emmanuel's disappearance, they expected to see signs of a baby, tiny clothes, bottles, diapers, a crib, toys, or at least a photograph on the wall. Instead, what they found was emptiness. No baby items. No evidence of a child's presence. It was as though Emmanuel had never lived there at all. Then came the shocking turn. In the midst of mounting pressure, Jake Haro, Emmanuel's father, dropped a bombshell confession: "I killed my baby." Those words should have been the breakthrough moment investigators were waiting for, the statement that would finally lead them to Emmanuel's body and bring closure to a horrifying mystery. But instead, Jake's confession only made the case murkier. According to Jake, he didn't bury Emmanuel, he didn't leave him in the house, and he didn't hand him off to anyone. He said he threw his baby's body away, dumped in a trash can, like garbage. Detectives immediately moved on his claim, searching refused sites, combing through disposal records, and even sifting through mountains of landfill waste. Yet despite the exhaustive efforts, not a single trace of Emmanuel was ever recovered. No remains, no clothing, not even a shred of evidence pointing to his existence. The absence of Emmanuel's body left investigators and the public grappling with haunting questions. If Jake truly killed his son, where's the proof? If Emmanuel was dumped in the trash, why wasn't there even a single clue to confirm it? And if Jake was lying, what was he hiding, and why? Each answer seemed to birth a new mystery, leaving Emmanuel's disappearance teetering between confession and cover-up, tragedy and deception. For detectives, the case became more than just a search for a missing infant. It was a race against lies, silence, and time. Because without Emmanuel's body, justice remains suspended in limbo, and a community is left asking the most painful question of all: what really happened to baby Emmanuel? Strangely, throughout every twist and turn of this case, Jake Haro insisted on one thing: that his wife, Rebecca, was completely innocent. Even while admitting in one version of events that he killed baby Emmanuel, he shielded her as though protecting her from blame. And Rebecca? She returned the favor. In her own statements, she defended Jake, standing by him and claiming he had no part in their baby's disappearance. It created a perfect circle of protection, each parent covering for the other, while their 7-month-old child remained missing without a trace. But what stunned the public even more was Rebecca's behavior. In cases of missing children, it's almost instinctive for parents to cry out, to beg for their child's safe return, to appear before cameras with tears, shaking voices, and desperate appeals. Yet Rebecca never once made that plea. There were no emotional press conferences, no sobbing interviews, no calls to kidnappers to bring her baby home. Instead, her energy seemed fixed on one purpose: defending Jake. Over and over again, she repeated the same narrative, that Emmanuel had been kidnapped and that her husband was not responsible. This left detectives unsettled. If Emmanuel had truly been taken, why wasn't his mother acting like it? And why, inside the Haro home, was there no sign of him at all? The house was stripped of everything that proved a baby lived there. No crib in the corner, no formula cans in the kitchen, no diapers in the trash, not even a single framed photograph of Emmanuel on display. It was as though the couple had carefully erased their child's entire existence. The more investigators looked, the more it seemed this case was not about grief, but about concealment. Why erase every trace of a baby's life, unless you're trying to hide the truth of what happened? Was this a couple bound by love, or by guilt? Two parents, two conflicting stories. A child wiped from existence. Detectives knew they weren't just dealing with neglect or tragedy. They were staring into the heart of a puzzle, one where the most important pieces had been deliberately removed, leaving only lies, silence, and a desperate search for truth. California has long carried a dark reputation as a hub for trafficking networks. Behind its beaches and suburbs, countless children have disappeared into underground systems, swallowed by shadows, never to be seen again. In cases like these, investigators know the signs: the sudden erasure of a child's presence, the systematic removal of clothes, toys, bottles, and photographs. In the Haro home, that is exactly what detectives found. No baby items, No trace of Emmanuel's short life. This wasn't an accident, and it wasn't oversight. It looked intentional, an eraser stroke across a child's existence. A clean wipe, which begs a haunting question. What if Jake's shocking confession wasn't the full truth at all? What if it was something else entirely, a carefully crafted distraction? By stepping forward and claiming, "I killed my baby," Jake may have painted himself as a lone villain. But what if that confession was designed to divert attention, to shield others, or to mask something even larger? If Emmanuel had been funneled into a trafficking pipeline, Jake's story about rolling over in bed or dumping him in the trash could have been nothing more than a smokescreen. A cover story strong enough to stop investigators from looking deeper. Meanwhile, Rebecca's behavior only deepened suspicions. Through every interview, every interrogation, every rumor that swirled, she never cracked. There were no trembling pleas for Emmanuel's safe return. No raw emotion spilling into the cameras. Not even a whisper of desperation. Instead, she held the line, defending Jake, standing firm, as though her priority was not the missing baby but the man accused of killing him. That silence became chilling in itself. A mother's instinct is to fight, to scream, to claw at the world until a child is found. Rebecca's refusal to do so left detectives with unsettling questions. Was she suppressing her grief, or was she protecting a truth too dark to speak? As investigators pieced together the empty house, the vanishing baby, and the contradictions in Jake's confessions, one fear began to emerge. Maybe Emmanuel's disappearance wasn't a simple case of parental violence. Maybe it was something far bigger, something carefully hidden behind silence, lies, and a house scrubbed clean of its child. Neighbors later told investigators something that made the case even more chilling. They hadn't seen baby Emmanuel for weeks before the Haro family suddenly appeared in public at a football game. That detail shifted the timeline in a disturbing way. If Emmanuel hadn't been seen for so long, it suggested he may have been gone long before Jake ever sat down with detectives and confessed. His words might not have been an admission at all, but a cover story crafted after the fact. In response, police launched an exhaustive search. They scoured trash collection sites, combed through landfills, and reviewed surveillance footage of disposal routes. If Jake's claim was true, that Emmanuel had been tossed in the trash, then some trace of him should have been found. A blanket, a onacy, a diaper bag, something. But detectives came up empty-handed. Trash doesn't simply make evidence vanish into thin air. Even in the most chaotic dump sites, remnants are almost always recovered. The total absence of Emmanuel's remains forced investigators to reconsider Jake's confession. Which scenario makes more sense? A panicked father who disposed of his child so carelessly that not a single piece of evidence was left behind? Or a carefully orchestrated disappearance, one executed with precision, erasing not just the baby's body, but his entire presence from the home and the community? Inside the Haro residence, the answer seemed to reveal itself. The house didn't look like the scene of a sudden tragedy. It didn't feel like a place where a baby had once lived, cried, or played. Instead, it looked like a space that had been methodically stripped clean. No crib tucked in a corner, no bottles left in the sink, no diapers in the trash can, and not a single photograph on the walls to remind the world that Emmanuel had existed at all. To detectives, it didn't resemble a home struck by grief. It resembled a stage set, scrubbed of evidence, as if a child's entire life had been deliberately erased. That haunting emptiness raised the most painful question yet. Had baby Emmanuel truly died in a tragic moment, or had he been removed from the world in a way designed to leave nothing behind? Was Emmanuel killed, or was he sold? That is a chilling divide that continues to hang over this case. His disappearance doesn't fit the messy, impulsive pattern of a crime of passion. It doesn't carry the hallmarks of a panicked accident. Instead, the pieces left behind seem to echo the blueprint of a transaction. A child erased, a home wiped clean, and two parents telling conflicting but equally suspicious stories. Among the community, whispers have spread like wildfire. Some fear Emmanuel was funneled into the dark underworld of trafficking, a market that has long preyed upon the most vulnerable. Others speak of something even more disturbing. Ritual sacrifice, a hidden practice masked behind secrecy and silence. Could Jake's shifting confessions and Rebecca's unwavering defense be nothing more than a carefully rehearsed cover, protecting a truth too horrific for the public to face? Here lies the most haunting possibility of all. Without a body, without remains, Emmanuel's fate isn't sealed. As grim as the evidence may look, there is still a chance, no matter how slim, that he could be alive, hidden somewhere beyond the reach of investigators. A baby doesn't simply vanish into thin air. And silence, especially from parents, especially from a home so meticulously scrubbed of all signs of life, never happens without reason. This is why Emmanuel's case cuts so deep. The uncertainty is unbearable. Was he buried in secret, discarded as trash, or handed off in exchange for something unspeakable? Each theory weighs heavily, but all of them point to the same truth. Emmanuel has been erased, not just physically, but from memory, from his own home, from the narrative his parents built around him. And yet, erasure only becomes permanent if silence wins. If we stay quiet, if the questions fade, Emmanuel's story ends here, in shadows, in rumors, in unanswered what ifs. But if voices rise, if the demand for answers grows louder than the lies, justice might still come. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even this year. But Emmanuel deserves more than vanishing. He deserves truth. And until that truth is brought into the light, the search cannot and must not end.